Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to FOBtv, the future of business. It is here, folks. It is here where we explore the forces shaping tomorrow. So I'm your host, Kevin Benedict. I'm a futurist. I'm a lecturer here at TCS. And this episode is titled When CRM Thinks, the Future of AI-Driven Customer Intelligence. And today we're going to explore how AI and automation are changing customers and prospect interactions with CRMs. And to help us do that, I'm joined by David T. Roberts, CEO of SugarCRM. Thanks for joining us, David.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks, Kevin. I don't often get the T thrown in, so I appreciate that.
Well, I see it added, on LinkedIn, so I'm like, it must be important.
Yeah, it's because there's so many Davids out there and so many Robertses out there, a little bit of distinction.
Well, I have a good friend in New York that he has a middle initial, and he always says, I need that middle initial there.
It's like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. So I just give it to you. So David, again, thanks for being a part of the team today and part of the show. Where are you calling in from?
Denver, Colorado. That's where most of our leadership is here at SugarCRM.
Awesome. So Mountain Time Zone. I'm in the same time zone. I'm up here in Boise, Idaho. So
good for you.
13 hours driving maybe straight north.
Yeah, I've got a really good friend in Ketchum. I've been out there a couple times.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Beautiful place. So you joined, if I get this right, you joined SugarCRM, the company in 2024.
18 months ago.
Yeah. Why did you choose to join SugarCRM? What did you see in the company?
Yeah, well, I grew up in CRM. I started my career implementing Siebel systems back at Accenture. I did that for many, many, many years. And there's been promises that the CRM industry has made to its customer for decades that really has gone unfulfilled. And the opportunity to come join Sugar and build on an exceptionally strong platform to go deliver on that promise was really compelling for me.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm glad that you're here bringing those years of expertise here to the show today. So CRM systems used to be systems of record, places where you would store what already happened. I remember so many times using everything from Salesforce.com to, way back, what was it? Active, Action, or
Act and Goldmine were the two content platforms.
I used both. I used all of them.
Right.
And so you would get off the phone and then you would have to go back and just sit there for the, next hour entering everything that just happened here. So those are places we would first have the interaction, then we would record it as a place we could come back to. But now CRMs are becoming systems that guide what should happen next. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think we're finally going to be able to deliver on that promise to actually add value for the seller, not just expect them to go do a bunch of data entry, block off Friday afternoons where they update their CRM before their manager gets them on the phone on Monday and reviews their pipeline, right? This is what's well-trodden territory. Everyone's used to working this way. And I think sellers feel like it's something they've got to go manage and update, not something they go use as a useful tool to help them do their jobs.
So are you saying we finally got there where there's more than just a place to store data? You're going to get some value back. Tell us about that.
I think we're getting there. It's a promise that now AI, I think, helps us deliver. I'm a huge proponent of AI driving software being part of the business workflow, but it's not AI for AI's sake. It's not a co-pilot. It's really something that's embedded in the workflow that actually can drive value for the seller. So I think it makes it easier to capture information rather than doing a bunch of data entry. And I think it provides a huge amount of value in output to guide the seller towards that next best step.
So let's talk about timing and speed. So AI in many areas is collapsing the time between signal and action. Now in sales and customer experience, what used to take days now happens in seconds.
Yep.
Now, how does that really help a company compete? What's the value there?
Well, I'll give you an example, Kevin, that might illuminate it. Like a lot of our customers are manufacturing customers who have, 400 accounts. They got product catalogs that are 8,000, 10,000 SKUs. I think it's incredibly difficult for a seller to go figure out what's going on across their distribution channel, across their account base. And I think the historic answer has been, well, go take the order report and send it off to the sellers and hoping they'll review it, or go create a dashboard that sellers go check in on from time to time. And I don't think sellers do a lot of that. In some cases they do, but it's not a common practice. The promise now, what we're delivering on, is actually pointing out where reorder risks are involved, where there are opportunities to expand within an existing install base by using a huge amount of data across a complex account and product catalog to point people in the right direction.
So are you creating your own models and training your systems on the very specific products and stuff of your client?
Yeah, they're very purpose-built. It's focused on account management. It's focused on the complexity of large product catalogs, and it allows for pattern recognition and continuous learning of what customers are buying and what they're reordering within that overall landscape.
So the scenario you explain there, you have salespeople with large numbers of SKUs and large number of clients. They're not going to know those guys very well.
Well, I think many of our customers, the sellers or account managers, are covering 200, 300, 400 accounts, and they're managing a large catalog. That's a very, very common thing, right? Okay. There's some cases where sellers are covering half a dozen or a dozen if they're really, really large. Yeah. But we tend to focus on mid-market manufacturing customers, where the either the distribution channels or the territories are, meaningfully significant.
So is the AI going to assist the salespeople to know and create kind of real-time strategies as they're looking through the data and they're communicating and they're getting emails and all this? Is it going to allow them almost in a predictive environment to be better at their job?
Yeah, exactly that. In fact, we talked for a long time over the last decade about BI, business intelligence, and insights. I think we need to get beyond that. I don't think we provide insights to sellers. I think we actually say, hey, this account stopped ordering this product. Go check in and talk to them about what's changed. Give them the signal, right? You talked about signal. Yeah. Give them the signal and then suggest the thing to go do off the back of that signal.
So do you guys use the term nudge? Is that something you guys use a lot or not?
Well, I haven't. I don't think we use it's more like coach or suggest or guide that we use in terms of how we talk about it. Just the seller wants to feel like they've got confidence in the suggestion or recommendation that's being made by the CRM platform. And we provide a lot of context to be able to make that recommendation feel real and tangible and like they're not going to look silly if they go out and talk to their customer about it.
So David, walk me through how you actually train your models to know how to sell and to be able to coach. I mean, how does that happen?
Well, I think that's the beauty of AI, is that these large language models are so good at this, especially when you provide a huge amount of context, right? So what used to be a CRM implementation back in the mid-90s when I was doing them with Accenture, you'd set up data migrations and you set up data integrations and you set up your fields and your data mappings, and it was all very data-driven. And that's still the case to some degree today. But I think what's needed a lot more in the CRM implementations of today is the sales process documents, the objection handling, the competitive information, the pricing analysis, content that helps our models be able to recognize the patterns and suggest things to sellers that's based on both the data, but also the content that drives their business.
So having these smart AI engines kind of coaching the teams as they go through the sales process, what are the risks of over trusting, the sales process to AI? What do you guys have to think through, and what kind of risks do you have to weigh there?
Yeah, I think my experience, I've been in and around sales teams for 30 years, and all sellers think they know their accounts best, know their territories best, know their opportunities best, and they do. So if you're going to make a recommendation to them, you better be precise, you better have credibility in what you're recommending, and you've got to make sure that these models are tuned to the business problem or the business process we're solving, right? The risk, I think, is they're too open-ended. A lot of companies are kind of suggesting this ask me anything approach, which I think leads to very broad-based questions and very imprecise answers, and could set up the seller or the account manager to look silly if they're not tightly trained and context-driven.
Wow. So as AI takes over forecasting, prioritization, and even outreach, what becomes the unique value of the human in the process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you guys tell people?
Well, I think that is such a great question. I believe that selling is about the transference of belief, right? If you're a seller, you're trying to convince your customer that to believe what you believe, that you can go help them make their business better. I don't think that gets changed by AI. In fact, I think what AI does within the CRM platform is actually accentuate the human aspects and the human nature of the seller. I often describe it as giving the seller an Iron Man suit to make them stronger and faster and better, but it doesn't replace them. You mentioned forecasting, for example. I think there's a lot of value in a seller sitting down, figuring out what they believe they can go do and making a commitment to go do that. Sure, FP&A teams, RevOps teams, they all create their own shadow forecasts anyway. And with AI, those will be easier and easier to do. But I don't think it changes the human nature of a seller committing to what they think they're going to do each month or each quarter. So there's still a lot of humanity in selling. And I think CRM just makes that humanness more important.
So, David, you gave a scenario of a salesperson on a Friday afternoon trying to enter all their data so they don't get in trouble. What is AI doing to kind of eliminate that Friday chore? Is it listening in on calls? Is it reading the calls? Is it summarizing accounts? Is it doing all those things? What's it look like in your world?
Yeah. Well, one of our chief engineers here at Sugar said a while ago that structured data is the language of business and unstructured data is the language of relationship. Mm-hmm. And that unstructured data is conversations, text messages, emails, all the interactions between a seller and their customer. And what AI does is allow you to consume all of that unstructured data and turn it into something that can be useful in understanding your territory, your account, or your opportunities more deeply.
So talk to me about the skills required in this new world where there is a partnership between AI and a sales team. What skills is that going to require that maybe wasn't required in the past?
Yeah. Well, I think the role of revenue operations, RevOps, sales ops, whatever you call it, is incredibly important. And that is to continually engage in understanding how these models are driving the sales process or the business processes that you're trying to support, right? That they're tuning them, that they're adding content to them, they're providing additional context to them. So what RevOps used to be becomes like super powered with AI, and it can give a RevOps team so much leverage in helping sellers go attack their territories or markets.
So talk to me about real-time strategies. You're in a conversation with a client right now. Is it going to be able to help in a real-time environment by providing additional something that's going to make that process go easier for the sales team?
Well, I think more likely it helps sellers prepare, right? I've often heard the ratio that you should prepare 4 hours for every 1 hour meeting if you're a seller, right? Do your research, prepare your materials, figure out who the people in the room are, decision makers, influencers, et cetera. I think what AI does is cut that time in half, if not more, so that sellers are prepared for those meetings way faster than that typical 4-to-1 ratio that used to exist.
Wow. So how do you keep relationships with your clients? I mean, with the seller, with their client in this world of automation and AI, how do you ensure the authentic human touch doesn't get lost in that process?
Yeah. Well, I talked about this a minute ago. I think people buy from people. People are way more educated. They show up way more knowledgeable, way more prepared, right? There's that old example that like at car dealerships people used to wander around to different dealerships and learn about various options. Today, they walk into a dealership and they say, I'm ready to buy the 2024 Bronco with the Wild Track package because they've done all their research, right? I think buyers are way more educated. They've done all their research before they're engaging. And what's really important is that seller shows up just as prepared, just as knowledgeable about what that customer needs. I think AI is going to superpower that seller and allow them to be able to match the kind of level of knowledge that buyer is now showing up with.
So how much of what we've talked about here today, David, is hypothetical, is future scenarios? And where are we today? What's the maturity level today? And where do you think we'll be 5 and 10 years out?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of this is here now. right? If I go back to last year and the big AI boom, everything we saw with all the kind of data centers and superscalers and AI providers, there was a lot of hype around this. And I think the thought was that everyone was going to approach business AI like they approached personal AI, right? The way in which we all use ChatGPT personally is how we might use it in business. I think this year people are figuring out that AI needs to be embedded in the workflows. Our product has AI embedded in those workflows today. And I think we're just going to get smarter and smarter about how we can help direct sellers towards things that really drive value for their interactions with our customers. So it's going to accelerate very, very quickly. And I think context is going to be the word that dominates the next couple of years.
Yeah, I can imagine a time where the sales information, as it's being added and prioritized, that it starts educating and informing supply chains, and that starts informing the whole system, the whole environment, the whole ecosystem. Is that how you see it kind of maturing over the years?
I do. In fact, one of the things Sugar's really focused on is our tie between the back office and the front office, or between ERP and CRM, as some people kind of refer to it. People who go implement back office products are very data-driven, analytics-driven, process-driven, rule followers. That's not how salespeople tend to operate. So there's so much power in the knowledge and the investment that's gone into that back office. And I think what AI is going to allow us to do, this is what Sugar's doing today, is recontextualize all that in a way that helps sellers know where to go focus and doesn't give them tons of detailed reports or analysis to wade through, but gives them that signal on what conversation to go have with which customer about which product.
Wow. So let's just take one more shot at 10 years out. What's the world of sales and CRMs going to look like, and how's it different from today?
Well, I think 10 years is such a long horizon of how much things are changing. Yeah. And you talk about being a futurist. I like to think that I'm a person with strong vision and ideas of where things are headed. 10 years is really a challenging time frame for me. But I think what we will see is that CRM becomes an incredibly thin layer that a seller is interacting with, right? The way in which they're capturing information is by talking to their applications and software. The way in which they're receiving information is through guidance and prompts that, like, what looks like thicker applications today becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. And literally the application of the mobile phone and how that actually works for manufacturing account managers out on the road all the time, this really starts to become the 100% metaphor of how people are interacting every single day and how they work.
I keep thinking that at some point we're building all these tools to help businesses and companies sell to clients. At some point, the clients are going to be creating their own agents that will be the ones you're selling to. So there's a CRM and there's automated AI agents there, marketing, selling, prioritizing, and personalizing presentations for clients, but they're actually making that for an agent on the other side whose responsibility it is to purchase.
Yeah, I think it's likely that helps them get through. If you think about a typical procurement process for software, an RFP process, maybe that accelerates that whole process and gets it down to a final 2 or 3 very, very quickly. And then it's about sitting down and talking to the person who's responsible for the business outcome. Right? There's always going to be somebody on the other end who's accountable for whatever result we're trying to go deliver as a business. And that person wants to believe that the company that's going to support them understands what's needed and is committed to help them achieve that. And that's back to where people buy from people. But I do think the front end of that whole procurement process gets compressed and automated and accelerated.
Wow. So that's how you get faster to the relational trust.
I think so.
Human to human, you're just removing some of the friction and getting us to the point of purchase faster.
Yeah, and that's why I keep saying that, like, I think AI, people are worried about AI replacing humans. I think AI makes the human aspects of who we are more important and that we get to them faster.
I agree. I just wrote an article on that this week.
Well, I didn't read it. I probably should have in my preparation for our call, Kevin, but I didn't read it. And I love to hear that there's others out there who share that opinion.
That's awesome. David, thank you for joining us and sharing your insight with all of us.
It's been a great pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.